Well, it had been a few years, but our good friends Bryan and Emma returned to Washington State this past summer for a week. That's crazy. For a week. Anyway, like I was saying, our good friends Bryan and Emma came to visit Alicia and I and Emma's sister Kayla back in August, and we had an absolute blast. We did maybe my favorite hike in Washington State, Lake Ingalls. We went out to the Olympic National Park and Hurricane Ridge, did a cool hike to a small waterfall, and also went to the Washington coast and checked out Ruby Beach for sunset. You know, there's so much to explore in Washington State. The geography is so diverse here. You want to see the Olympic National Park, you want to go to Mount Rainier, you want to see the North Cascades, the Central Cascades, the Alpine Lakes Wilderness, you want to go over to the east side and see the more desert-like landscapes over there. It's just hard to do it all within a week, but for Bryan and Emma's visit out in August, I thought, you know, the best way for them to kind of see a good portion, a good variety of things out here would be to do a good solid hike. And then, of course, getting out to the Olympic National Park and seeing the rainforest and that kind of different geography out there is always fun for people who haven't been around that climate before. And then, of course, going to the Washington coast where you can get really dramatic seascapes and see these really cool rock formations and potentially, if the weather cooperates out there, get, you know, a really pretty sunset as well. So yeah, we had a week to do all this, and I really think we maximized our time while they were out in Washington State. But we began with the trip out to the Olympic National Park, left Tacoma, and then headed to Poulsbo, which is a really cute little Norwegian kind of town on the way to Port Angeles, and there's a really great bakery there, and we stopped and got breakfast at this cafe. So fueled up for our road trip the rest of the day, and then we made our way to Hurricane Ridge, which is kind of in the heart of the Olympic National Park. It's one of the main attractions in the park, and the reason being is it's just super easy to access. You can just drive up to the top and you get really pretty views just straight from your car. So on a clear day, you can see all the way to Canada, you can see Mount Baker, and you get really amazing views of the Olympic mountains. It was a little bit hazy when we were up there, but still got some pretty cool pictures, and there were kind of some low-hanging clouds rolling over the mountains as well, so it made for some dramatic landscapes and dramatic shots. But yeah, Hurricane Ridge is a classic if you're ever looking to explore the Olympic National Park, and there are some hikes you can do from the top parking lot there. We just didn't have time to do any on this day, but still a great time checking out Hurricane Ridge. I've been up there a few times, and like many other spots in the state, it just never gets old. After Hurricane Ridge, we went and did a short waterfall hike to Marymere Falls. It's a really chill nature walk, basically about 2 miles round trip, not much elevation gain at all, but you kind of start to sense the rainforest environment in this hike. Trees are large, it's dense forest, feels a lot different than what you see at Hurricane Ridge, obviously, and then the waterfall itself at the end of it is pretty cool. It's nothing crazy, but it's really picturesque. I messed around with a few long exposures at the waterfall. The lighting was a little iffy, but still managed to get a couple decent photos there. And yeah, this is just a wonderful hike if you're driving, you know, from Port Angeles to Forks to check out the coast. Definitely worth stopping at Marymere Falls and doing this nice little nature walk to see kind of a different type of landscape if you had just been to Hurricane Ridge. We were all very excited at the prospect of catching a sunset at Ruby Beach, which is an incredibly beautiful beach on the Washington coast, about 30 minutes south of Forks. It was looking like it was going to be sunny, but it's the coast, man. You never really know what's going to happen, and it's right next to a rainforest, so the weather can be really unpredictable, and the chances are it's going to be cloudy, unfortunately. But it was still really pretty, classic Northwest, foggy, cloudy, hazy, kind of stormy coast vibes, if you will, and that's always fun to photograph. It's always fun to hang out in that environment as well. And it was nice to have the Pentax 672 with me on this road trip, actually. Shooting pictures of Alicia and the group on the Pentax was nice. Having the 105, which I actually used more than I thought I would, but I had the 105 and the 55 with me and was shooting a bit of both. And yeah, happy with the portraits, happy with the landscapes for the most part. Always fun to bust out the Pentax, even though I'm shooting mostly on the Mamiya these days. The Pentax is great for stuff like this where I'm mostly just working out of the car and not doing any crazy hikes or anything like that. It's manageable just to bring on short little nature walks, or you know, from the car down to the beach, that kind of thing. And we did end up catching the sun setting. It dipped below the far cloud layer just briefly, and we got a pretty solid sunset after all. The colors weren't too crazy because the clouds were still blocking a lot of the light, but we did see that the sun drop down below and then fall beneath the horizon, so that was cool. And yeah, overall this trip out to the Olympics was really great. It definitely epitomizes that classic foggy, stormy Northwest feeling, I think, that is projected a lot on social media and through pictures and videos that you see of the Northwest. You know, I think people tend to think of this place as this really moody atmosphere, and the chances are, if you go out to the Olympic National Park, go to Forks, go to the Hoh Rainforest, go to Ruby Beach, you're more than likely going to experience something like that. So if you're into that, the Olympics and going out to the coast is a great place to try to capture that atmosphere. All right, now it's time to travel in the opposite direction to the Central Cascades to do potentially my favorite hike in the whole state.
Cold January, up before dawn, down to the Knox mine we've been digging on. No other light but the lamp on my head, and my mama told me that I wound up dead, but there's bills to pay, and the rent's due today, so I'll take my chances this time. Breaking my back, $5 a day.
Alright, Wim Hof.
Pockets to fill, and we're underground, 300 feet down, and it feels like we're digging our grave. Don't go down the mines, heed the words that I tell you. It'll cost you your life, and it's damp and dark too. The river is wide, and it gets ever closer.
I absolutely love this hike. I'll probably do it every year for as long as I'm alive. I've done it 5 or 6 times now, and it's just unbelievably unique in my opinion, especially for Washington State, because once you get up and over the ridge there, it starts to feel a lot more like Colorado and Utah, I think. You know, when you think of Washington, you think of forests and a lot of greenery, and Lake Ingalls isn't necessarily like that. It's more open, it's more vast, and the views you get are just wonderful. So had to bring Bryan and Emma's sister Kayla out on this hike because I just think it's one of the best bang for your buck hikes you can do while you're out visiting Washington. It's about 10 miles round trip, 3,000 feet of elevation gain. So once you get up there and get to the lake, you really feel like you accomplished something. You know, you get back to your car and you are a bit sore and a bit wrecked, and you feel like you really did something that day, which I always enjoy that feeling. But yeah, I got up nice and early, had beautiful weather, and crystal clear day. It was just awesome.
Heed the words that I tell you. It'll cost you your life, and it's damp and dark too. The river is wide, and it gets ever closer. Each hammer strike, don't go down the mines. Yes, Mama was right, don't go down the mines.
Bryan lugged his 4x5 camera up with him on this hike, and I couldn't believe it, but he only brought black and white film. I commend you, Bryan, for your bravery. I always get up to places like that, and I see the deep blue color in the water and the sky, and I just have too much FOMO shooting black and white in those situations. But Bryan always kills it with the black and white work, so I don't blame him. Myself, I was shooting on my Mamiya 7.2 with Gold 200, and I did bring a roll of Velvia 100, which I did end up shooting. Some of the photos were okay. A lot of them, the lighting was just a little bit too harsh, and slide film in general is just a bit unforgiving if you're dealing with any sort of mixed lighting situations. So the Gold 200 photos turned out pretty solid. I've photographed Lake Ingalls many times now. You know, I've featured this hike on the channel at least 3 times at this point. So these are all familiar compositions to me, but I never get tired of shooting at Lake Ingalls. I mean, it's so wonderful to be up there. The landscape is so unique, and there's a lot of open space for you to kind of climb around and explore, so you can get some different vantage points. And even this time around, you know, I went to a couple spots that I hadn't previously shot at before, and I was really happy to be able to share this hike and experience with Bryan and Emma and Kayla. Unfortunately, Alicia couldn't join because she was shooting a wedding that day. But anyway, yeah, Lake Ingalls just never ever gets old. Highly recommend checking it out if you're ever in the Seattle area and you have an extra day to spend doing a proper Northwest hike. It's a couple hours east of Seattle, in between Cle Elum and Leavenworth there, right there in the Cascade Mountains. But it is just an incredible place, and if you're a photographer, I mean, this place is heavenly. And it's always fun going at a time of year where when you get to the lake, you're sweaty enough and feel gross enough and overheating enough to want to jump in, which was luckily the case when we were up there. It's always nice to take a dip in an alpine lake, especially if you've never done it before. It's kind of like a rite of passage for anybody hiking in the Northwest, in my opinion. It's a pretty unique experience, and not a lot of people can say that they've taken a plunge in an alpine lake. And Lake Ingalls is just one hell of a lake to do it at. I did shoot one photo on slide film. It's a composition that I hadn't previously photographed on any of my other trips to Lake Ingalls. It's a super simple composition, really straightforward photo, but I love it for some reason. It's well balanced, and you know, I've shot plenty of images of Mount Stewart in the past and the lake and everything, and those kind of classic compositions that you see when you go up and do Lake Ingalls, but this one caught my eye, and the slide film was well exposed. Just really like how it turned out. Don't have much more to say about it other than it surprised me, and I'm happy with it, and it makes me feel a small amount of joy inside, which is it's harder and harder for me to feel that about photography and photos that I take recently, I think. So one thing that I'm super grateful for is the friendship that I have formed with Bryan and Emma over the past several years. These trips I look forward to every year, and they're so refreshing for me. So there's a lot of negativity, you know, and a lot of weird kind of things going on the social media platforms these days, and in the YouTube space and the photography and videography and cinematography world in general on YouTube. It's just a weird place, at least in my eyes right now. But I love thinking about the positive elements that have come from deciding to venture onto the YouTube platform and make these videos over the past several years. So yeah, what a wonderful week it was having Bryan and Emma out and having Emma's sister Kayla join us as well for a week of exploring Washington State. And last thing I'll leave you guys with is Bryan has a photography show in Chicago on November 15th. Alicia and I will be there hanging out. I look forward to seeing his work in person and returning to a city that I absolutely love. So if you're interested in coming and hanging out, I'll put all the information in the description below. If you're in the area, definitely swing by. It should be a great time. Thanks very much for watching, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.